Hey now guys, what is up? Happy 4th of July. Uh, Back with another book review. A couple notes. There's a lot of fireworks happening right now, guys, so you may hear a lot of explosions and a lot of banging. Sorry about that, but nothing I can do about it. Sorry, not sorry. And I got the air conditioner on to dull the noise. I don't know if that works. So pardon the hum, guys. Let's just get into it. Talking about Captain America Volume 10, covering 1982 to 1983. 504 pages. I read this within 2 days, guys, from the time I started. We have J.M. DeMatteis, David Anthony Kraft doing the writing, primarily the writing. Kraft does the fill-in work. DeMatteis does pretty much the main stuff. Fireworks. Then we have artwork pencils by Mike Zeck, Ron Wilson, and Sal Buscema. The fireworks threw me off. Anyway, guys, we have a lot going on here. We are knee deep into the Reagan era 80s. The Reagan era, for those of you who don't know, was a very conservative time. Ronald Reagan, former Hollywood actor turned president, is a conservative fella, and it's all about business, economics, cash, money, green, republicanism, and Cap is right in the thick of it. Cap is dealing with a lot of issues, social issues, not so much political anymore. J.M. DeMatteis is writing a lot of social issues, a lot of commentary on what was happening during this time. We have Nazism and anti-Semitism happening in the issues. I mean, like not discussions, but social issues that Cap is dealing with. Like I said, anti-Semitism, racism, homosexuality, although not really homosexuality. It's just his buddy Artie Roth is gay, and he asks for Cap's help to find his boyfriend, his roommate, Michael. There's a lot about courage too, which Nomad, Jack Monroe, Nomad, reappears, he reemerges and takes on the Nomad name, but he's afraid. There's a lot of self-doubt within him. A lot happens. So in a nutshell, guys, we start, the issues covered here, by the way, are 267 to 285 and annual number 6. It starts off 267 with him fighting a dude called Everyman. Not really much to that issue. It's a new character who I don't know if he made another appearance. Although the commentary there was actually unique. It was about like the failure of the father who conditions his son to become, I guess, a hero to the everyman, but he also hates what Cap stands for, and so he goes up against Cap and he commits murder. He hooks up with this terrorist group. I believe they were called the Nihilist Order. But ultimately, it feels like a story we've read before. I've read this. It feels like I've read this before. Then we have a two-part crossover between Captain America and the Defenders. 268 of Captain America, 106 of the Defenders. Basically, August Masters, who is a rival in business with Kyle Richmond, who's Nighthawk in the Defenders, has kidnapped the Defenders, and Captain America tries to help, but he gets kidnapped and captured. And he has the telepaths from 264 of Captain America, Philip Le Guin, the little boy, and the black woman, Ursula Richards, as like a mind hive in order to attain this power that, again, it's one of these confusing storylines that ultimately don't make a lot of sense, but you get a good consortium of heroes. In Defenders 106, Doctor Strange gets Son of Satan, Damon Hellstrom, the Beast, and Daredevil to help him free the Defenders and Captain America, or rescue them, as well as the telepaths from August Masters. But I don't know. There's really not much to this story. I read it already in the Defenders, and this is the second time I read it, and I still didn't understand what happened, but J.M. DeMatteis does his best. He was writing both books at the time, but it doesn't work altogether as a crossover. Then we have 269, which introduces Team America. They take on Mad Thinker with Cap, which is pretty cool because he has the Mad Thinker has these androids made to look like Albert Einstein and Walt Whitman and Friedrich Nietzsche and Socrates and Shakespeare. But he's kidnapping Nobel Prize winners, and that's, of course, a no-no in Cap's eyes. So Cap, of course, has to ruin the Mad Thinker's fun. I mean, the Mad Thinker just wants a friend. Really, that's really what it comes down to. 270. So we get to know Arnie Roth, Cap's gay best friend from their childhood. We learned that he joined the Navy during World War II, and he knows that Steve is Cap, but of course he keeps his secret to himself. We get a little cameo of Arnie in 268, right after Arnie and Steve have gone to see Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I thought was pretty cool that they include a real life movie in the Marvel Universe. And Cap didn't seem to like the movie. Shocking, right? And then we get 271, which is a fill-in by David Anthony Kraft. A wrestler is murdered because he's about to out the promoter for selling steroids. Sounds pretty cool, but ultimately it's like a whodunit mystery, but you know right away who the culprit is, and it's the promoter. Sorry if I spoiled it for you guys. Then 272, we get the first appearance of Vermin, which is pretty freaky because he nearly defeats Cap. He has all these rats around him. Creepy. Vermin. Then 273, 274, we have a two-part story, again written by David Anthony Kraft, which is the Howling Commandos. The Howling Commandos are reunited for a reunion. Fortunately, we don't suffer through any dialogue like in the Sergeant Fury books by Roy Thomas and Stan Lee. Thank God. It's actually pretty good stuff. They team up with Cap and take on Hydra. Baron Strucker returns as the Supreme Hydra, and Happy Sam gets kidnapped, and unfortunately he bites the big one. But he goes out like a hero, Happy Sam Sawyer. So thank you for your service, General. Then we move on to what I think is an unofficial 5-part storyline. 275 to 279 has Cap taking on... First he takes on anti-Semitism and Nazism. He goes to him and Bernie and everybody from the Brownstone, they go to a pro-Nazi rally to counter-demonstrate. And of course, bedlam ensues. Bernie's ex-husband, Sammy Bernstein, which I just realized would make her Bernie Bernstein or Bernadette Bernstein. And I mean, can I get any more Jewish? But Cap faces Jewishness, or anti-Semitism with his boss, Mr. Bennett, who says a lot of vile things, which I'm shocked that they were allowed to get through. I guess Jim Shooter was like, okay, go ahead. But it was handled very tastefully. I think it wasn't as racist as it could have been. And I think Cap is a very good figure to be dealing with this kind of stuff. I can't really see any members of the X-Men or Avengers or even Spider-Man or Daredevil or Doctor Strange handling these kinds of social issues. I mean, Captain America is the right kind of person to be dealing with racism, pollution, society ills, drugs, you name it. Cap is the one who should be dealing with the social issues. Overpopulation, war, that kind of stuff. So we get Cap deals with this stuff in 275, and then also in 275 a lot of stuff happens. It's not a giant-sized issue or double-sized issue, but we find out that Sam Wilson, who is retired as the Falcon, is now running for congressman. Arnie and Michael have been abducted by Baron Zemo, who has hooked up with not Arnim Zola, but one of his mutates. Primus is his name. Primus, who's mixed in with Doughboy, who can shapeshift to look like Arnim Zola. And Vermin is also now part of... the Muck Monster frees Vermin and brings Vermin to Zola. And now Cap has to fight these 4 villains. And then in 276, 7, and 8, this bit of issues, Cap manages to defeat them. Zola betrays Vermin, but Vermin sneaks up on the jet that he's taken off on. You know, Zemo, of course, escapes, but Vermin attacks him in mid-flight. Pretty funny there. And then in 279, continuing on the storyline, he fights Primus, who's posing as Steve, and is out on a date with Bernie to ruin his life, to basically fuck over his life. But he doesn't get too far with it. And they have a brawl, and it ends with Bernie saving Cap, because Primus is about to beat Cap, which is pretty shocking in itself. But it ends with Bernie talking Primus out of killing Cap, and Primus just takes off. Sounds anticlimactic. If it wasn't for the graveyard scene where Cap and Arnie are burying Michael, Fury says, hey, we did everything we could here at S.H.I.E.L.D. to save Michael, but because Vermin, I forgot to mention, Vermin attacked these gigantic monster mutate robots that has the consciousness of Arnie and Michael inside. It's very confusing, guys. A lot of stuff is happening in these issues. I hope you're with me on this. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about Monsters and Men, Volume 10. So that happens. 279, they bury Michael, and that's the end of that. Then 280, we get the Scarecrow. For one issue, Scarecrow is using his crows to kill these members of the Coalition. And Cap saves the day. 281, 2 and 3 is Viper has come back, the green bitch Viper. She doesn't have Hydra, so she's by herself, but she has a consortium of soldiers helping her. She wants to unleash this bubonic plague through Viper venom over the city of or the town of Hartsdale, Illinois, and she almost succeeds. She has the Constrictor to help her, but the Constrictor realizes that, yo, this is a crazy ass bitch. Like in layman's term, guys, she's like, yo, this bitch is fucking crazy. I gotta stop her. I'm all for making money and being a bad guy and cracking some skulls, but I don't want the whole world to die. And it's very interesting how a villain, and the Constrictor is a Captain America villain, is like, man, this bitch is crazier than me. I don't want the whole world to be destroyed. So he actually helps Cap, Nomad, and Dum Dum Dugan defeat Viper. And I forgot to mention, in 281, the Bucky of the 1950s has been released from suspended animation. He was around in 153 to 156. For those of you who will remember, what was it? Was it Volume 4? Volume 4, I think, right? Volume 4? 139 to 159, I think was... No, that was Bucky. Oh, God. Yes, I think it was Volume 3, guys. No, it was, okay, my bad. I had to cheat, guys, because off the top of my head, I didn't know. In Volume 4, Hero or Hoax, wow. Hero or Hoax, Volume 4, 153 to 156 had Cap fighting the racist commie smasher Cap and Bucky. So Jack Monroe is Bucky from the 50s that he fought in 153 to 156. He's been removed from suspended animation, and the government's like, okay, see you later, kid, you're on your own. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. But he somehow runs into Steve, finds Steve Rogers. He looks like Bucky, and of course, immediately Steve attacks him, beats the shit out of him. He's like, no, I'm not Bucky. I'm not Bucky. I'm Jack Monroe. And he's like, what? I mean, and I've noticed one thing, guys. If you spin a tale or a yarn to Steve Rogers, he'll believe you. Doesn't matter. And then later somebody will betray him and be like, I'm actually a villain. And Steve's like, fuck, I can't believe I actually fell for that. But Steve will fall for any line, any story at all from anybody. But in this case, he tells him, yeah, no, I'm not Bucky. It was my bad. Sorry. Forgive me. I'm Jack Monroe. And the next issue, 282, he becomes Nomad. Him and Bernie end up on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, thanks to Sam, who can't help because he's retired as the Falcon, but he's like, I'll patch you into Fury. Fury can help you out. So Fury gives Jack the Nomad costume, and now he's calling himself Nomad. Then they go find Viper's hideout in Hartsdale, Illinois, and that's that. 283, Dugan suffers a heart attack. You know, that's a cliffhanger, but they all make it out. In 283, they, what's it called? Nomad shoots down the balloons and is like, hey, you know, I got a sack, you know, I can actually be a man about this. And Constrictor helps them too, like I mentioned. Constrictor, a villain, helping out the heroes. Then we have 284 and 85. 284 was an interesting special issue, which had Cap dealing with domestic violence. That's another issue. Him and Nomad stopped this guy from killing his family, but it turns out he has an empty gun. He's just drunk. But then, of course, later on in the issue, the dude has a loaded gun and he holds his family hostage, and Cap has to fight his guilt for letting him go and saves the day. A good story, but, you know, Cap should have nipped this in the butt the first time. And then 285 has the return of Porcupine, who has a new costume, and he narrowly defeats Cap and Nomad. He defeats he defeats Nomad because Nomad's like, oh shit, I have self-doubts and I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have the stones to be a hero. And Cap is like, yes, you can do it, kid. Knock it off. And so they managed to defeat Porcupine. Cap pretends that he can't do it, but he can, you know. He just did it to instill courage and bravery into Bucky. And then that was also the issue where Jeff Mace, and I didn't mention the annual. So Jeff Mace, who was the Patriot in, I guess, another world of another Marvel universe. In What If #4, he was the Patriot, but he became Captain America during World War II when Steve Rogers was presumed killed in action. And so the Patriot became Captain America. That's who Jeff Mace is. And now he's dying of cancer. So then Cap goes to see him as his dying wish. Cap is there by this guy's bedside, and the guy dies of cancer, and that's the end of the series. And I forgot to mention, Annual 6 basically has Mr. Buddha. Mr. Buddha returns from the the Bicentennial Battles from Volume 6, and 4 Caps. He brings 4 Captain Americas together: Steve Rogers, 1950s Cap, Jeff Mace Cap, and Cap from what was it? Oh, what was the other Cap? I forgot. All right, who cares? But there's 4 Captain Americas, and it's basically what makes Captain America so great. What makes us as humans so great? The human courage. It's a lot of blah, blah, blah. You know, it was okay. It was an okay annual, but I could have done away with it. They just fight an android named Adam 2, and that's where Steve learns that Jeff has cancer, and everybody lives happily ever after. I know it sounds kind of boring and lackluster, guys. I wish I could give more. Trust me, I read that like 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I totally forgot what happened. I posted the rundown on the communities tab like I always do, so guys, check it out if you want to know what happened in each issue. But I will say I really, really enjoyed Volume 10. I really like the Arnie Roth stuff, even though he's a minor character. And hats off to J.M. DeMatteis. I mean, you guys got to understand, in 1982, the gays were really not viewed in a good light. You know, AIDS was now coming into prominence. Gays, you know, the gay panic. You know, people just didn't know about gays. They didn't know that they were real people. They didn't care. Nobody cared. And in the Reagan era of the 80s, nobody did anything. Nobody helped. Even though Ronald Reagan's buddy, Rock Hudson, who was a gay actor, was dying of AIDS, he did nothing about it. So for J.M. DeMatteis to present a good gay character, not a murderer, not a rapist, not someone with AIDS, not a pansy or a pussy, you know, it was a guy who actually defended Steve when they were kids and was a tough guy, because Steve was a scrawny little runt. It was a positive point of view. Like, Arnie Roth was a good guy, and unfortunately, later on, he's a big, fat, balding Jewish guy with a very Jewish name. I was thinking Arnold Roth is like Arnold Rothstein, the gangster, or Hyman Roth, the gangster from Godfather Part 2. But this guy's Arnie Roth, not Rothstein or Rothstein. Anyway, guys, it's a great book. Check it out. And now we're moving on to Volume 11, guys. way into the 80s. We're now 1983 to 1985, volume 11. Look at that. Who's that? What's her name? Mother Moonstone. I don't even know her name, but check out that cover. I love it. And we have her face quite often, like she's all over. But then we have like Bernie, we have Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, we have Falcon, we have Baron Zemo, Red Skull, this bitch up here, see, she's like over here, and then we have Cap, like, oh, you know. So who knows? We have Nomad, Jack Monroe. I guess Sam goes back to being the Falcon, and we cover 286 to 301. Annual number 7 and Falcon number 1 to 4. So we have a Falcon miniseries in there. Oh, we have a little tear here I have to fix. Okay, anyway, so that's that, guys. We're gonna go right into the mid 80s, and I cannot wait to read this. We have J.M. DeMatteis, and yeah, I think he wraps up his run here because he stops with issue 300. We have Christopher Priest, a black dude. He's a black dude. What was his name? I forget his name, but he has another name. But Christopher Priest, and we have Mike Zeck, Mark Bright, and Paul Neary doing the pencils. All right, so that's that, guys. All right, I'm over 20 minutes. I think that's good enough to stop there, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Like it or don't like it. Subscribe or don't subscribe. But do comment, guys, because I love your comments. Happy 4th of July, and what a day to be reviewing a Captain America book, right? There we go, some fireworks there. All right, guys, I am signing off. Peace and love, heavy metal rules, and I'll see you guys in a couple days. All right, fireworks. All right, guys, bye now.